Now, from the news station, this is 7 News, live at 5.
And good evening. We're live at 5 tonight with the very latest on the effort to figure out how a body ended up near a busy road.
As someone four-wheeling near River Road in Powdersville found bones scattered around right near the intersection with Highway 153. Now, investigators have been out there all day, and so has our news reporter Christine Brown. She joins us live now with the latest on the investigation. Christine.
Office a call.
Thanks, Christine. I'm sure this is a huge amount of closure for the Burton family. They were able to ID him so quickly today. Do you know how they were able to get that identification?
They actually they brought out a forensic anthropologist from Spartanburg out here, and she and the investigators here were able to find a defibrillator on the body in the remains, and that's how they were able to identify Gary Burton, thankfully as quickly as they could, so they could let the family know and bring them some closure.
Absolutely. Thank you, Christine, for all your reporting today. Okay, today, family and friends of missing Marine Jeffrey Simpler gathered to pray. Simpler, along with 11 other Marines, have been missing since their helicopters crashed on Thursday. Jeffrey's father is a police officer with Woodruff. He and other family members embraced strangers and friends who came out to give their support. We were able to speak with Jeffrey's grandmother.
Anybody to go through. It's awful. I don't believe they're going to find anything.
While the Marines say that this continues to be a search effort, the family told me today that they believe the worst in the situation and that Jeffrey has died. We have new information on the Greenville County deputy who was shot in the head last month. The GoFundMe page for Deputy Dave Dempsey says he'll be able to go home this week. He's been receiving treatment at the Roger C. Peace Rehabilitation Hospital. Dempsey was shot while responding to a robbery call at a Taylor's apartment complex in December. One person is dead and 2 more injured following an early morning crash in Oconee County. It happened on I-85 about 2 miles from Fairplay. Troopers say that the driver lost control and hit a pickup truck that was driving in the opposite direction. Both drivers were taken to the hospital. The passenger in the car was identified as Lamley of Chamblee, Georgia. This crash was one of 5 deadly accidents in the upstate over the weekend. One person died after a crash near Furman University on Friday night, and 3 separate crashes in Anderson County also claimed 3 more lives.
Find some single digits in the mountains, so take it easy out there. This weather can be dangerous if you don't dress for it. Just layers, hat, gloves, you need it all.
Have to dig a little deeper for those gloves and scarves, won't we?
Exactly.
Thank you, Christy.
Sure.
Well, as many of you know, it's Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and dozens of volunteers decided to celebrate by spending their time and effort on a good cause. Greenville Tech held a day of service to benefit several upstate organizations, all the way from the Salvation Army to the Greenville Humane Society.
I want our children to grow up and know their history and know where we came from and know about the world, about being kind, being loving, and being respectful of all people.
Greenville Tech will also be starting a Habitat for Humanity home build on Thursday. Get more information on how you can get involved on WSPA.com.
A group also, and it means this is the first year the flag has not been flying during the annual King Day at the Dome event in Columbia.
It's one of the largest gatherings held on Martin Luther King Day each year, but it started as a protest, first against the Confederate flag.
7 News reporter Robert Kittle is joining us live from Columbia tonight to explain how that changed the focus of this year's march and rally. Robert, good evening.
'Tis the season for colds, coughs, and sore throats, but new recommendations are out telling doctors not to treat your symptoms with antibiotics. Kenneth Craig explains why in this 7 News Medical Watch.
Kenneth Craig, CBS News, New York.
Experts also find that people with sinus infections experience more side effects than benefits from antibiotics. New research also sounding the alarm about nail polish. The average woman paints her nails about once a week. Now a joint study by Duke University and the Environmental Working Group finds chemicals in some polishes can get inside your body. The chemical in question is used as a flame retardant in some foam furniture like couches. It's an ingredient in about half of all nail polishes. Animal studies indicate it's linked to reproductive and also developmental issues.
I was shocked. I would say that I'm pretty cautious about what I expose my kids to, and nail polish is definitely not one of the things that I ever worried about.
The group that represents nail polish manufacturers calls the research speculative and misleading. Former Saved by the Bell actor Dustin Diamond has started serving his time behind bars. The actor who played Screech is serving 4 months for an altercation at a Wisconsin bar. Diamond testified that he was protecting his girlfriend when he pulled out a pocket knife and stabbed a man. That was on Christmas back in 2014. He was convicted in June of carrying a concealed weapon and disorderly conduct. Don McLean could also be facing jail time after being charged with domestic violence. He sang the famous 70s song American Pie. Police arrested him after responding to a 911 call at his home in Maine. Police haven't said who the victim is or what happened. McLean is due back in court on February 22nd. Live at 5 is back with some scary moments in Australia. Check this out. Watch as that car just smashed right into a gas station, nearly hitting a woman inside. You see the female customer kind of disappear from sight. Watch it from this angle as the car just flies right into that convenience store. It appears that she's hit, but the car actually just misses her. Talk about good luck. Store workers dragged the 2 people inside the car out to safety. They were taken to the hospital for treatment. Police are still trying to figure out what caused them to crash.
Live at 5 continues.
It's 5:29 and we're continuing our coverage of Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Many across the upstate gathered at special events or took part in community service projects.
Meanwhile, hundreds headed to the South Carolina State Capitol for the annual King Day at the Dome March and Rally. It's one of the largest gatherings held each year in the state. And coming on the heels of last night's Democratic presidential debate, the candidates weren't going to miss out. 7 News reporter Dave Jordan has more on how they're hoping to capitalize on today's big event.
If you blinked, you may have missed it. This is a look at the small dose of winter weather that some people across our area saw over the weekend. Snow fell early yesterday for a short time across western North Carolina. But as you can see now, it's all gone. That's not the case when talking about the cold temperatures, though. Chief Meteorologist Christy Henderson is with us now.
Yeah, that's right, Brianna. It looks like we're going to see readings well below freezing tonight. We've been below freezing all day in the mountains, and we know it's supposed to be cold, but and the pets for tonight, make sure they stay warm overnight because it's going to be tough if you're outside for any length of time for anybody.
Yeah, we're going to have to get those scarves and gloves out for sure.
Exactly.
Thank you. And just a reminder, this is your last chance to enjoy the winter temperatures on the ice. Ice on Main is open until 9 o'clock tonight in Greenville. After that, downtown Greenville's ice rink will close for this season. Thanks, Christine. Today, dozens of people gathered to pray for an upstate Marine who went missing during a training mission. Sergeant Jeffrey Simpler was aboard one of the helicopters that crashed in Hawaii on Thursday. None of the dozen Marines have been found yet. Today, people in the Woodruff community prayed for him and supported his family. You can leave your thoughts for them on our Facebook page. Also today, we learned that Greenville County Sheriff's Office has seized more than $1 million in the past 5 years. That money has been used to repair fuel and insure the department's 3 aircrafts. Also for training and feeding of the police dogs. Departments across the states assess seizure law to collect money. Together, they've collected an estimated $22.7 million between 2009 and 2014. This just in, several news organizations are reporting that Glenn Fry, a founding member of the Eagles, has died. TMZ says that the death was the result of complications from rheumatoid arthritis and pneumonia. Fry, had been battling intestinal issues for months and had surgery in November.
Begging for acknowledgement or even asking diminishes dignity and diminishes power. And we are a dignified people.
Jada Pinkett Smith and Spike Lee say that they're boycotting the Academy Awards this year. They made the decision after no African Americans were nominated in the Best Acting or Directing categories. This is the second straight year the hashtag #OscarsSoWhite has been trending online. Next on Live at 5, from the food you probably have in your kitchen and shouldn't eat to the one that was removed months ago and is now headed back to store shelves. We'll have the latest on what you can and can't eat coming up.
Tonight,
Live at 5 is back with a 7 News consumer alert. Heritage International is recalling its Trader Joe's raw cashew pieces. The concern is that they may be contaminated with salmonella. So far, no illnesses have been reported, but if you have these in your cabinet, don't chance it. They say to throw them out or return them to the store. We have more information about the product at WSPA.com. A popular ice cream brand is headed back to the southeast.
Bluebell.
Holiday sales weren't as high as expected. The National Retail Federation says that sales rose 3% in November and December. That's below the 3.7% increase the group originally forecasted. But to help balance things out a bit, online sales exceeded expectations and grew 9%. Next on Live at 5. Keep on pounding. That's exactly what the Carolina Panthers are doing as they get ever closer to a Super Bowl matchup. More on the team's success straight ahead.
Then firefighters usually deal with, well, fire. But this week, ice is what's causing problems. See how they managed to save the day. Straight ahead. Welcome back to Live at 5. The Carolina Panthers now just one victory away from the Super Bowl after beating the Seattle Seahawks.
Ooh, and it was a close one, wasn't it? Yeah. Carolina jumped out to a 31-0 halftime lead. They didn't play as well in the second half, though, but managed to hold off Seattle to win 31-24. Next up, the NFC Championship showdown with Arizona.
7 Sports Director Pete Yannity is joining us now. Pete, I never thought a game that was 31-0 at halftime would be such a cliffhanger as that one was, but past that, the Panthers are in somewhat familiar territory here.
It was shades of Bills Oilers in the early 90s and that infamous Buffalo comeback to get to the Super Bowl. But heck of a ball game. You love coming out of it the fact that after the week off, they...
Live from the news station, this is 7 News at 6.
New information about remains found along a local road. Tonight, investigators have identified them as a man reported missing over the summer. The latest details are just ahead.
And Arctic air is in place across the Carolinas, and dangerous wind chills will continue overnight for some. I'll have your forecast.
I don't want anybody to go through this. It's awful.
First at 6, an upstate family grieving after days of searching for a dozen missing Marines following a helicopter crash in Hawaii.
This map shows you the latest search area. The U.S. Coast Guard has extended the search to Oahu's north shore and extends 8 miles out to sea. No Marines have been recovered to this point. Tonight, the Woodruff community is praying for the safe return of one of their own. I was there as the prayer vigil today for Sergeant Jeffrey Simpler took place. And while the nation continues to pray for the search, Simpler's family tells me that they fear the worst.
Father, as we gather here this morning, we gather with grieving hearts.
A loving friend, son, brother, and grandson, Sergeant Jeffrey Simpler was remembered by the community that he grew up in today.
He was the best grandson you could have. He really was.
His family, though, remembers Simpler as an excellent student, motivated to join the Marine Corps and to serve his country.
He says, "No, Grandma, I want to go in the Marine Corps."
Now the community that he protected is just one of a dozen, waiting every day on word that the Marines have been found after their helicopters collided on Thursday. They find refuge in prayer.
This scene is being repeated 11 other times all over this country. Those 11 other soldiers who lost their life.
As the waiting continues, Simpler's family fears the worst.
I don't believe they're going to find anything.
The last glimmer of hope comes from the support of the small town around them.
And again, we just lift up this family, these friends, Father. Let us rally around you.
The Coast Guard has expanded their search now in the 4th day, looking for any clue of those Marines. Simpler's grandmother hopes that safer training missions come out of the tragedy with her loved one.
I don't want anybody to go through this. It's awful.
So many of you have reached out to us to ask how you can help this family. We've posted a video from the prayer vigil earlier today on our Facebook page and have left a space where you can give your thoughts to the family. It's also on the front page of WSPA.com. A deadly few days on local roads with 5 people being killed since Friday night. The latest one happened early this morning on Interstate I-85 in Oconee County. The Highway Patrol says the driver lost control in the southbound lanes, then crossed the median and hit a pickup truck that was going north. A passenger, Lam Lee, from near Atlanta, died in that crash. Both drivers were taken to the hospital. There were 3 deadly wrecks over the weekend in Anderson County, and 1 person died in a crash Friday night in Greenville County as well.
Well, let's talk weather now. We've got more frigid temperatures coming tonight after a day that was cold but sunny at least.
Spent some time outside. My fingers were frozen. We even had reports of black ice on some of those roads. Let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Christy Henderson for the latest.
Hundreds of people marched to the State House in Columbia to remember Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and call for action on our schools. They're also celebrating the removal of the Confederate flag from the State House grounds.
Removing the flag was the main focus of the first King Day at the Dome rally 16 years ago.
State lawmakers took it down last summer after the murders of 9 people at Emmanuel AME Church in Charleston. 7 News reporter Robert Kittle was there today. He's also was at the first King Day at the Dome. He's joining us live tonight from the State House to tell us what went on today. Robert.
Tom, some of the people at today's march were here for the very first time, and a couple of them told me that they came specifically because the Confederate flag is now gone. It used to fly at the Confederate.
Thanks, Robert. Also, a day of service also happened today on the campus of USC Upstate in honor of Dr. King. It started with this poverty simulation event hosted by the United Way of the Piedmont. The learning tool is ways to help people understand the realities of poverty. During the simulation, participants role play the lives of low-income families. Participants trying to provide basic necessities and shelter on a limited budget during the course. It was 4 15-minute weeks.
This is absolutely not a game. These students are going through real family models. They are having real experiences, and we hope that this is a launch for volunteerism and advocacy as they move out into the community after this experience.
United Way also had over 100 other volunteers who spent the day giving back. They worked on landscape and park rebuild projects in our area, as well as making hygiene kits for people in need.